guys, my name is Claire's and I'm going to show you how to relax and paint these simple florals in watercolor. We're just using two colors, a couple of my favorite Princeton brushes, and that's it. If you're looking for more tutorials, feel free to check out my YouTube channel here. I've got a ton on here. If you're looking for more engagement and new videos from me, I do have my watercolor membership, so feel free to check it out. It's called Go With The Flow, and I teach you how to relax and paint in watercolor. It's listed in the description. All right, let's begin. And in this video, I'm going to be showing you how to take simply two colors. So we're going to take the indigo and the gamboge hue, and we are going to be painting some pretty flowers very loosely and some leaves to go with it. So if you're a beginner, this is absolutely a beginner friendly video, so stay tuned. I'm going to quickly go over my supplies before we get into painting. So I'm an ambassador for Princeton brushes, and so I'll be using my favorite brush, which is one of my favorite brushes, which is the Princeton Neptune number 8. I usually use a number 6 or the number 8 because I think they're very well sized, and this is a nice thick brush that allows me to get some really beautiful organic shapes in my florals. Now, teaming this with something like a Heritage number 3 or a Velvetouch number 4, also by Princeton, I think they're great for details and for really great brush control for your stems and your leaves, things like that. I'm also going to put the angular brush handy on the side. We may or may not use it. I think it's a fabulous brush if you are looking to really expand and take your paintings beyond just using like the round brushes. These give you some really nice, interesting shapes as well. Okay, and on that note, we're going to get started with mixing some color. Oops, I'm using Canson watercolor paper for my paper, by the way, and Daler-Rowney paints, or they're called Aquafine watercolors by Daler-Rowney. Okay, all right, so on that note, let's start mixing. I'm going to be using the number 8 to start mixing. Let's get a little bit, like the indigo is a very strong color, and so I'm just going to use a little bit of this and mix it in here. My palette is not the cleanest, but sometimes I find when you kind of take away that whole stress over, you know, the brushes need to be super clean, the palette needs to be super clean, and you just kind of flow for fun, or you paint for fun, you get some really beautiful loose effects. So we're just going to go with that in mind. Okay, so I'm kind of mixing a ton of water with some of the indigo to get like this nice see-through indigo happening with whatever was mixed on that there before, and then making sure we've got enough color on the brush, and we do. Just gonna pull this one hair off. Oh, doesn't want it. There we go. Okay, paper towel is also good to have on the side, just FYI. And what we're going to do is we're going to use the full span or length of the brush here to kind of paint our first petal. So let's just start something like that. And then you want to close that up by kind of doing something like that. And as you add little strokes on the side, you're kind of giving that shape to your petal. Now get some more color. Now, if you're someone who struggles with leaving white space in the center, you can do your first petal and then do this dotted circle. This will help you keeping that white space. This is another way you can just sort of go in and paint another petal. Notice the petal sizes are different. I'm not stressing about that. We're going to do one more here. And I just love just sitting down and painting flowers like this, where you know it's a flower, it's not specifically anything that might exist. Maybe it does. Maybe it is something like an anemone, except we don't have the middle dark yet. So this is what I have so far. Now, how do we enhance something like this? Because once it dries up, it might not be as it won't look quite the same. So what I'm doing is getting my number 3, and before this dries up, and this is called the wet on wet technique, I'm going to get color directly from my color cake, and I'm using the indigo, and I'm dropping that into the center here. And this is where you're going to notice the quality of the supplies you use are important, because if you're using something that is not 100% cotton, sometimes it dries up quicker, also depending on how fast you're moving. So for wet on wet, you pretty much need the area to be damp before you go in with that color, if you're looking for those nice, beautiful blooms. So I'm getting more of this color. I'm going to drop that into the center again. Some of the color you can see is just kind of stopping here. Some areas it's moving more, and that's just because of the distribution of the water on the petals, like the watercolor on the petals. So what you can do is you can also take your brush, making sure it doesn't have too much water. You can lightly kind of extend and kind of push the color around. Try it out. Sometimes it might work, sometimes it might not. It's just another move or suggestion for folks who are trying out watercolor and you're kind of still finding your groove in with this medium. Okay, so we've done that. I'm going to add a little bit more here just to get a little bit more of that bloom going on. I love when the flowers start dark in the center and then they kind of fade out into like this nice pretty gradient like effect. So this is like one of my signature go-to ways of painting a flower. Now once this is done, I like to use the back of my brush to just get some nice details within the petals. So using the back of the brush, start from the center, and then you're literally drawing in lines with the back of your brush. Now it is very important to do this while your area is still damp. If it isn't damp, you're not going to get lines quite like this. And I think as I go around here, I might be able to show you an example. I think this one's dried up. So as you can see, the first half or quarter of the petal is damp, so it's giving me those lines. The latter part isn't, and so you can see that the lines are very faint there. So keep that in mind when you are doing flowers like this. Okay, so we're going to do, now that you know the idea behind how to do this, we're going to do one more flower, and I'm going to move quicker. So this is going to be like your practice time to kind of move along with me. So same idea, mixing a nice diluted version of the blue, and we're going to go in and paint another flower. Let's just paint one here. Feel free to have it spaced out more if you want to. Space it out away from this flower right here. I like to have a little bit of touching happening. And then I'm using the number 3 and I'm dropping in the center. So this is where like painting loose is all about letting go of all your perfections, unlearning everything you did in school, and kind of just going with the flow. And this is where this is why I've coined my watercolor membership Go With The Flow. It's just a monthly membership or an annual, depending on what you pick, where you can learn more about watercolor. And every month I put out new videos and also positive affirmations to start off the month. And just so people can focus on something positive when they're painting. It's all about letting loose. It's all about unlearning and just learning to relax. Like, what is the worst that can happen if the painting doesn't go your way? It is a piece of paper. You will be fine. You can just take another piece of paper and try again. And what will happen is you're going to notice that by trying again, you learned something from the last experience. And so you will move differently and you will know how to get better results. It's just how anything in life like that works. Like, you repeat something long enough, you will understand it and you will move differently with it every time you try it. I tell my kids that about piano all the time because they hate piano. All right, so we've got our flowers now. That's perfect. So let's do some leaves. I'm going to add some of the yellow gamboge hue to my mixture of indigo. And in fact, you know what? I'm going to take some of that, mix it onto the side here. And I think for this one, just to kind of make it more interesting, we'll use the angular brush. So I'm going to wash my brush, keep that aside. Let's get the angular brush and get more of that indigo and get a nice green. Okay, so I like using the tallest part of my angular brush, and I love doing linear lines like this to kind of really give some nice movement. And then using that tall portion, we're going to start, press down, trail off. I'm dipping just the tip of my brush in water. I'm going to get another loose little stroke there. And you just want to be loose and light, so you're giving beautiful movement in your painting, which really adds and emphasizes some nice stuff. So I'm going to add more water this time to get a nice lighter feel to the color. Then I'm getting more, and let's add some leaves happening in other areas too. So like, let's do some here. And all I'm doing is using the tallest portion of the brush, and I'm holding it just like a pencil. So I'm not using this flat portion. I'm holding it so it is straight up. And sometimes this is literally all you need. I like to do a little bit of like random dots here and there just to kind of simplify and aid that whole loose effect look. And last but not least, I like to do leaves in 3 different areas. So we'll just do a couple of leaves happening here. And I think that's it. Now, signature move for everything that is loose is a splatter. So I'm going to use the number 8 because it'll give us nice big blobs of splatter. And I'm using all the leftover green that we have. So making sure the brush is nice and full of that color. We're taking another brush, holding it like across like this, and then we're just going to splatter in the area we want the splatter to be in. And I would like for it to be around the leaves. And so that's why I'm doing it there. Some of it may fall within the flower. You just need to be okay with that. Or if you aren't okay with that, just cover it up with a sheet of paper while you're doing this and you should be fine. And that, my friends, is how you use very basic brushes like the round brushes and even the angular brush to get some really pretty loose effects with watercolor and painting flowers. I hope you guys enjoyed this. Let me know in the comments what you thought. Don't forget to hit the like and subscribe button. And last but not least, if you're looking for a more deeper understanding of watercolor and florals, consider joining my membership, and I've linked that in the description below. And thanks guys for watching. We'll chat soon. Bye.